All right, let's talk about something we all do, but maybe don't think about enough: parking on a hill. It seems so basic, right? But if you get it wrong, well, gravity can turn your car into a very expensive, very dangerous runaway. The good news? The fix is super simple, and it all comes down to one little trick with your wheels. So, what is the big deal here? You park, you walk away, what could go wrong? Well, a lot actually. We're talking about basic physics. But don't worry, you don't need a PhD to outsmart gravity. You just have to know the secret. Now, you might be thinking, I just throw it in park and pull the handbrake. I'm good. And hey, you are absolutely right. Those are the first two things you should always do. But they aren't foolproof. That parking brake cable, it can snap. And the park setting in your car, it relies on a pretty small metal pin that can fail under too much stress. That's exactly why you need a backup plan.
And that backup plan is something we're going to call the safety kickstand principle. I mean, think about it. If you were on a steep hill, you wouldn't just lean your bicycle against the air and hope it stays up, right? Of course not. You'd use the kickstand. We're going to do the exact same thing, using your car's wheels as a kind of built-in kickstand to brace it against gravity.
Okay, so how do we actually use this kickstand? Let's get right into it. This is the hill parking playbook. These are the simple, gravity-defying rules you're going to want to lock into your memory. First things first, no matter what, these are the golden rules for any hill, anytime. You always, always set that parking brake. And you always put the vehicle in park, or if you're driving a stick shift, you put it in gear. These are your primary, non-negotiable lines of defense. Okay, now for the clever part. This is where the curb becomes your new best friend. So check this out. When you're parked facing uphill, you turn your wheels away from the curb. Then you let the car roll back just a tiny bit until, thump, the back of your tire is resting right against the curb. It's now a solid block. But what if you're facing downhill? You just do the opposite. Turn your wheels into the curb. That way, if the car starts to move, the front of the tire will catch it. It's such a simple, elegant little solution. But what if there's no curb? What if you're on a country road? Well, the rule actually gets even simpler. Uphill, downhill, it doesn't matter. You always turn your wheels to the right, toward the shoulder of the road. Why always to the right? Well, the logic here is all about planning for the worst-case scenario. And this quote just nails it. This is the whole point. Whether you're using a curb or just the edge of the road, the goal is to make sure that if the unthinkable happens, if your brakes fail and your car starts rolling, it rolls safely off the road, into a ditch or some bushes, and not into the middle of traffic. It's all about planning for that what if. You know, this whole idea of planning for the what if, that's a mindset that goes way beyond just parking on a hill. It's really about being a proactive, smart driver. So let's look at another common situation where thinking ahead makes all the difference. Let's talk about backing up. It is so easy these days to just rely on our mirrors and those fancy backup cameras. But here's the thing, they have blind spots, big ones. The only way to get the full, complete picture is to physically turn your head and look out that rear window. Yeah, it feels a little old school, but it's the ultimate what-if check. I mean, what if a small kid or a pet is right in that blind spot? You have to look. So we've talked about how to read the physics of the road, but what about reading the rules of the road? Because when you're parking, the curb itself is often trying to tell you something. It's time to crack the curb color code. You've seen them everywhere, right? Curbs painted red, white, yellow, blue. These aren't just for decoration. They're actually a visual language that tells you exactly what you can and can't do there. And understanding them is the key to avoiding a ticket and making sure those spots are used the way they're supposed to be. All right, let's break it down. Just think of red as a universal nope. No stopping, no parking, not even for a second. White and yellow are for quick stops. White is generally for dropping off people, and yellow is for loading goods. Green means go ahead and park, but you've got to watch the clock because there's always a time limit. And then there's blue, which is in a whole other league. And this one is so important. Blue curbs are strictly, and I mean strictly, reserved for people with disabilities who have a valid placard or plate. This is not a suggestion, it is the law. It's all about ensuring access for people who really need it. So parking here without a permit is a huge no-no. So when you put it all together, parking on a hill, backing up safely, reading the curb colors, what's the common thread here? It all comes down to one simple idea: thinking like a proactive driver. It's about seeing the road not just for what it is in the moment, but for what it could be and being ready for it. And that really brings us to the final thought. We've talked about how to plan for a what if your brakes fail on a hill. But what other what if scenarios should you be thinking about every single time you get behind the wheel? Honestly, having that mindset is what separates a good driver from a truly great one.